Our speaker for this evening, what can I say? He is a phenomenal individual who, since leaving the University of Southampton, has had an extraordinary career. Quite simply, he saves people's lives, and the way he goes about this is truly admirable. Chelvan practices at No. 5 Chambers in London and has national and international reputation as an LGBT asylum law expert. Chelvan has been recognised as the leading legal expert in his field by the UK's Legal Directory since 2006, spearheading some of the largest legal cases in his field. Chelvan has been consulted internationally and recognised by the UN, the International Organisation of Migration, regional and national government bodies, lawyers and NGOs. When I first met Chelvan a few years ago at an event similar to this, I actually left that event with tears in my eyes because I was so moved by his story, his journey and his work. And I really hope that you enjoy tonight and get completely immersed in his journey, his work and his story, and feel inspired to make some sort of positive social change. Okay, so I think that's all the introduction I'll give, Chelvan. I'd like to introduce our speaker for this evening, Chelvan.
Thank you, John. If you, good evening, everyone. Thank you, audience participation, brilliant. If you expected me to stand behind this lectern, I don't do that, okay, because I don't believe in barriers, I don't believe in borders, but that may be for another lecture. So I'm invited here to speak to you about something close to my heart in relation to my journey from here at Southampton to what I do now. And I always believe that life is a journey, not a destination. So it's very important that all of you feel that I'm standing here as someone who can tell you that I'm living my dream. Yeah? And if I can do this, so can you. I honestly believe that. And if that's one of the messages I want to give tonight, is the fact that every single person in this room has potential to be able to change lives. Because as I'll be saying later on, I don't want to preempt an answer to one of the questions which Charlie's given me, is that I believe that if you want to change the world, you really need to be part of that change. And you can do so. So let me start with this. Well, look, this is not a suntan. I'm sorry. It is actually because I am an immigrant. I'm proud to be an immigrant. This is my passport photograph. Can you see the cute little boy in the corner there? Yes, on the left-hand side. And the date stamp, 6th of September 1978. I actually was born in Sri Lanka. I'm a Tamil, and I came into this country in 1978, 40 years ago. Because in 1977-78, there were anti-Tamil riots in Sri Lanka. And my parents decided that it was not a safe country to bring up my brother and I, so they decided to come to the UK. My mother was already working for the NHS. She was doing postgraduate qualifications here. So we were able to piggyback her visa to come legally to the UK because we had that option. But technically, we were actually fleeing persecution because the Sinhalese government and the Sinhalese mob were actually going and ethnically cleansing Tamil people in Sri Lanka. But we were able to come to the UK to be safe. That's me, the little red jumper. Can you see? Cute little boy there with my little brother, my mother, my father in Portsmouth in 1978. I have to come out and say something at this stage. I grew up in Worthing, okay? So, don't put that against me. But that's just in 1978. I'm very proud of being an immigrant. Yeah, this is me in a poster campaign in 2015 for the general election. I am an immigrant. It's very important to detoxify the debate. And with all of us in this room, to detoxify the debate, to be able to challenge ignorance, the greatest weapon to challenge harm, discrimination, and ignorance is visibility. And that's why I do this. I go around the country, go around the world, standing up, counting myself as one of these people who stands up, be proud of who I am, and be visible. This is my husband and I, gay pride, so I'm coming out. I'm a gay man. This is my husband, isn't he gorgeous? Yeah, with 17 years. Yes, we met actually on his birthday. We actually met in heaven, yes, a nightclub in Charing Cross. It was his birthday. I said the crassy lines are, well, happy birthday, I'm your birthday present, etc., etc. We haven't had a few drinks for me to tell you the rest of that. But we've been together for 17 years, and that's in gay pride. He's not a lawyer. He has to suffer hearing about law cases with me, but he's very much my rock. Of course, the world has changed so much, even from my time here at Southampton. When I was here at Southampton, there was an unequal age of consent. When I first came to Southampton, you had to be 21 to have sex with another man. It changed to 18 in February 1994. But even then, it was unequal. We had gays in the military, banned on gays in the military. I actually went and challenged that at the University Senate and Court in 1996. And John Lowryes, the Secretary and Registrar, turned round to me because, of course, the engineering faculty were a bit worried because I was saying, look, you're getting money from this organisation who discriminates against people like me. And that's contrary to the Southampton's anti-discrimination policy. And the engineering faculty got quite worried about what Chelvan was doing. And John Lowryes turned around to me, the Secretary Registrar, and said, but the discrimination is legal. So I decided, well, I need to do something to change the law because the law is wrong. But we know that there have been great victories this year. This is a good friend of mine, Jason Jones, who won a High Court victory in April this year to challenge criminalisation of gay sex in Trinidad. On the 6th of September, India decriminalised. A country of 1 billion people decriminalised in a case called Johar in India, a seminal case. This is a very good friend of mine. This is Menaka Guruswamy. She was one of the lawyers who made some of the legal arguments at the Supreme Court of India. How do I know Menaka? Well, 18 years ago, Menaka and I were in the same human rights seminar arguing about international human rights law. And then my mate Menaka is actually before the Supreme Court of India changing the law in India. So look around this room. When you have those arguments or discussions or debates in your seminars here at Southampton, the person sitting next to you or you could actually be before the Supreme Court of whatever country changing the law for millions of people. These are some of the cases I've been involved in the last year or so. So in 2016, I went to the Court of Appeal on behalf of 2 lesbian clients of mine who came legally into the country here in the UK and said, look, wait a minute here, we've entered into a civil partnership and then a marriage, but in India, they offer no legal recognition or protection. So I went to the Court of Appeal on that. I was also junior counsel in the single market case in the Brexit 2 challenge in 2016. That caused Theresa May a lot of headaches. I represented a pre-operative trans woman on the top right from Singapore. Because in Singapore, men have to serve in the military. And you're only defined as a woman if you're born female or have completed post-operative surgical intervention. So my pre-operative trans female client, who had lived openly as a woman here in the UK, and the Home Office even put on her asylum registration card, female, would be treated as a man in Singapore and would have to serve in the military. And that meant having to sleep and shower in the same quarters as men and have her complete identity as a man erased. And the UK Home Office said, no, that's not persecution, that's discrimination. But we managed to win her case and she's now a refugee. I've also done a case about how the Home Office for 5 years ignored a Court of Appeal order which said that Albanian LGBT people were not safe. Because the country guidance case they relied on said it's discrimination, not persecution. And the Home Office, who knew about this Court of Appeal order for 5 years, continued to refuse asylum claims based on a case which had been set aside. Now, this is one of my favourite clients, Adronke Apata. She's a Nigerian lesbian activist. Now, a lot of people say, why do I do my work? I'm a legal aid lawyer, yeah? So I don't have that much of money. Yeah? But what I do get is a priceless thanks of Adronke Apata, who fought for 13 years to prove that she was a lesbian with the Home Office. She even had to submit a DVD video of her having sex with her girlfriend to the High Court in March 2015 to try and prove that she was a lesbian. And even after submitting that DVD, the High Court judge, Deputy High Court Judge Bowes, Queen's Counsel, said, you know, you're not a lesbian, you're just making this up. I came and assisted her case in 2015 after the High Court case. We went to the Court of Appeal, and because of a model I'd created, which we'll talk about later on this afternoon, the Home Office capitulated in August 2017, and she's now a refugee. And what did she tell me? That photograph on the 8th of August 2017, outside my chambers by the Guardian journalist, she said, "Thank you for giving me my freedom." Yeah, after 13 years of battling the Home Office, all she could say was, "Thank you." I've changed her life forever. She's actually now applying to become a barrister. Because, you know, a lot of my clients end up being activists or lawyers. I don't know what's going on there. But she's now going to become a barrister because she wants to change the law and protect other refugees and asylum seekers. So you're asked at an interview, why do you want to become an accountant? Why do you want to become an engineer? When I was asked, why do I want to become a barrister? you have to think of your USP, your unique selling point. That's how you get the job. Yeah? So for me, when people ask me, why did I want to become a barrister? I always say to be the mouthpiece for those who know the words but have no voice. Because what am I? Who am I? What is my role? Well, I'm a storyteller. Yeah? I like telling stories. Remember when I was 5 years old in Cookville Primary, being told to recite Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and standing on that little chair and seeing all my friends just listen to every single word I was saying, just like you guys are today. Thank you. You know, and the gift is making sure that people listen to you. Yeah? But I'm also an interpreter. You know, a lot of my clients don't speak English as their first language. We have a court-appointed interpreter in the court translating their words from their mother tongue into English. But I'm also an interpreter because the law is a foreign language, isn't it? It's a foreign language to most people. So what I have to do is interpret their words, from their narrative, into what we call the law. Because we know it's a very unsafe world to be gay, or lesbian, or bisexual, or trans, or intersex, or non-binary. This is ILGA World's map of May 2017. At the moment, but we know where it started from. We know that throughout the ages there have been persecution of gay and lesbian people. This is a photograph of persecution of gay men in the labour and concentration camps in the Nazi period of the Second World War. Can you see their badge that they're wearing? It's a pink triangle. Yeah? Do you know what colour badges lesbians had to wear? Anybody? It was a black triangle. So just like the Jews had to wear a Star of David, gay men used to have to wear a pink triangle, lesbians used to have to wear a black triangle, because that's their badge of difference, stigma, shame, and harm. 71 states at the moment currently criminalise same-sex love. Yeah? 45 of them specifically criminalise women, including my own home country of Sri Lanka, when there was a legal challenge in 1995 because Section 365A said a man in private public. Do you know what the Sri Lankan government did? We can't be discriminatory. So did they get rid of the law? No, they just got rid of man, so it applies to women as well. Yeah? We know that 13 states, 5 specifically, impose the death penalty. Mauritania, Sudan, Saudi Arabia, South Yemen, and Iran. They will put you to death if they find out you're having gay sex. Yeah? What a dangerous world it is. But it's not about being lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, or intersex. What it's about is not being straight enough, not being conformative enough, not conforming to what society or your potential persecutor expects you to be, expects how you to behave in their country of origin. So don't worry about labels, LGBTQIA++++. It's about not being straight enough, which causes the harm. Not being cis enough, not being straight enough. The first asylum case was actually in 1981 in the Netherlands. Can you believe that? 1951 was a refugee convention, which we're going to be... let's go back a step. Okay, 1981, 30 years after the framing of the refugee convention, was the first ever refugee convention case in the world in the Netherlands. It took the UK until 1999 to, guess what? Recognise that women were a group to be protected under the Refugee Convention, under a case called Shah and Islam in 1999. And the obiter breadcrumbs of the judicial table said, oh yes, those homosexuals can also be covered. Why? Because countries, including the UK, were persecuting lesbian and gay people right up to this stage. Remember Section 28? Yeah, pretend families. But as the Court of Justice has decided in 2017, a case called F in Hungary, it's all about not being straight enough. Even straight people who go to a gay pride march could be presumed to be gay if they do this in Nigeria or Uganda because of their support for gay people. Yeah? Not straight enough. So 1951 Refugee Convention for the... How many lawyers in the room? None. Wow, okay. Okay, so very quickly on the law, that's the convention, that's the template. You know, you have to be out of your country of nationality. Remember, there are no visas to claim asylum in the UK. So you either have to use deception, or you lie about the reason you're coming to the country, or I'm really getting a student visa and come into the country using deception, or you have to come to the country and claim asylum to this strange person you've never met before in your life and say, I want to claim asylum, because that's what the Parliament expects you to do, Section 8 of the 2004 Act. Or you have to come to this country and something happens in your country, and that's what makes it unsafe for you to return, which is called a surplus refugee. Persecution equals serious harm plus failure for protection. Because the Refugee Convention is there for the UK to say, your home country, Ethiopia, will not protect you, we will protect you instead. It's called international surrogate protection. Now, I can't go through the whole law at the moment. It's a PhD thesis as is, but this is the law at the moment. In July 2010, the Supreme Court of the UK, I love the court because it's wonderful. It checks and balances. I cannot trust politicians. I do not trust politicians. I love going in front of judges and changing the law. And in this test called the Kylie concert test, because Lord Roger, who unfortunately is no longer with us, said that just as straight men are able to drink beer, go to watch rugby and talk about women with their straight male mates, gay men are able to drink exotically coloured cocktails, go to Kylie concerts, and talk about men with their female mates. So that's why it's called the Kylie concert case. Okay? Not that all gay men love Kylie. Clearly they do. And it's not a test the Home Office use either. But it's about the fact that we all live differently. The point is not how we express ourselves, it's how we are treated. If we suffer persecution because of who we are, then we're a refugee. Now, Lord Rogers says the first issue is to prove that somebody is gay or will be presumed to be gay in their country of origin. That's gay, lesbian, bisexual. The second limb is, do openly gay people have a well-founded fear of persecution? Now, prior to this case, I can tell you, because I've been working in the field since 2001, the Home Office said, oh, you're lesbian, gay, and bisexual. That's fine. You are, okay? And this was the Labour government, by the way. You know, the Labour government, which Jeremy Corbyn was an MP in between 2004 and 2010, okay? So Jeremy Corbyn has blood on his hands. Notice why I'm never going to do politics. So between 2004 and 2010, the Labour government said to lesbian, gay, and bisexual asylum seekers, yes, we accept you're gay, but because we've introduced this new test through the courts, we'll say, look, I'm pointing a gun at you. Will you run towards the gun or away from the gun?
Probably sideways.
Yeah, you'll run away. Yeah, you work. Okay. Well, that's called discretion. It's fight or flight. The majority of us will not run towards the gun. It's called discretion. So the court said, the Labour government said to the Court of Appeal in November 2004, that the majority of us will run away, and as long as that discretion is reasonably tolerable, we will send you back. Even to countries like Jamaica, where women have curative rape, or Iran, where gay men are executed. The Labour government said, we can send you back unless you establish that it's not reasonably tolerable. I had a case in January 2006 before the Court of Appeal called RG Columbia. And in that case, we had psychiatric evidence that the individual will suffer a mental breakdown. And do you know what? The Court of Appeal said, not enough. Not enough. So he lost his case. Luckily, we were able to relitigate. The problem with me is that once you're my client, you go up and down until we get your refugee status. Yeah? But that's what the Labour government were doing. We're saying, we accept that you're gay, lesbian, but we say that we can send you back even to Iran and Cameroon to lie for the rest of your lives because that will be reasonably tolerable. Yeah? So when they talk about Labour government's gay rights, Tony Blair, we love, I always put a tweet up, yeah, but not for the gay and lesbian, bisexual asylum seekers. And people like Lord Cashman don't like me for doing that. But I have to point out, Labour has blood on its hands. It's not just the Tories. Yeah? Okay. So after this test, of course, all of a sudden, the Home Office said, oh God, we can't really tell how this person's gay. Because, of course, the courts now said that you couldn't have the reasonably tolerability discretion test. You have to show that a material reason for your discretion, that's limb 4, is because of your fear of persecution. So the Supreme Court says you can't say that somebody will be returned back for the rest of their lives and be discreet if they feared persecution. Okay? So suddenly, now we had the Lib Conservative coalition. It's like, well, prove that you're gay. Yeah? Didn't have a problem beforehand. All of a sudden, I actually went to a conference in Geneva, and somebody who I can't name because of Chatham House rules said, yeah, but we know what straight is. And then they suddenly realized 9 nanoseconds later that I was in the room and suddenly became very worried about what they said. We know what straight is. What is gay? I am discreetly gay. That comes from the Pride film, American spelling, discreetly gay. From discretion to disbelief. Is the applicant gay or somebody who'd be perceived to be gay? A low standard of proof. It's all about getting information out there. This is a training manual which I was co-author with in 2015, talking about how do we approach gay asylum claims to prove that somebody's gay. In 2007, the experts of the world got together in a little town called Yogyakarta in Java, nice warm area for experts to get around, and they're saying, well, what does sexual orientation mean? Now, when I started doing cases, it's all about having sex. As long as you can have sex in your bedroom, you're fine, you can be sent back. If only being gay is about having sex, I wish it isn't. It's about going outside your bedroom, outside your home. So they said sexual orientation is understood to refer to each person's capacity for profound emotional, affectional, and sexual attraction to and intimate sexual relationships with individuals of a different gender or the same gender or more than one gender. Yeah? Okay, it's about love. Yeah? I know you guys are so with it. You know, you don't talk about labels, you talk about love and emotions. We'll talk about that in a moment. I wish it was like that when I was here 20 years ago. Gender identity, it's very important. In the words in the brackets, it's not dependent on surgical medical intervention. How many of you guys contributed to the GRA consultation which closed on Monday? Well done, really important. Because I believe that every one of us has a right to self-identify, that we cannot impose identities on anybody else. How can we? I was speaking earlier to Charlie saying, when is Southampton going to get gender-neutral toilets? I think that'd be really important, a huge step. So we're not looking at stereotypes. We're not looking at the fact that, oh yes, you know, handlebar moustache. I actually read a judgment from somewhere in Asia, which I can't actually tell you about too much at the moment. It's a very sensitive time. But the judge there on an individual who came from Egypt said, oh yes, you know, clearly not gay. He had a moustache. Oh, moustache, you know, handlebar moustache, thought he wasn't gay. Quite the irony. Okay, you can't be gay if you're a footballer or a pregnant woman or a granny. We've got to get rid of our stereotypes. Yeah. In December 2014, the Court of Justice made it quite clear, because in some countries they were actually testing being gay by asking about sexual activities or medical testing. We'll be talking about that in a few moments, or based on stereotypes. Yes. Actually, when did you first realize you were straight? Yeah. Oh, hesitation. Evasive. Can't give me an answer. I'm the Home Office, UK Home Office. Person comes and claims asylum on the basis of he's being straight. He's not straight. Yeah, he says he's straight, but he's not able to tell me when he first realized he was straight. You know, what a silly question it is, isn't it? Yeah? Not being able to say when you were straight. Well, that's what we were asking gay, lesbian, and bisexual asylum seekers. When did you realize you were gay? When did you realize bisexual? I mean, is there suddenly a date, an event? Yeah, but that's what we were asking lesbian, gay, and bisexual asylum seekers. Because it's not like an on-off switch that one day I'm a bisexual woman, one day I'm a lesbian, one day I'm a gay man. No, I was in court this week, and the Home Office had actually stupidly put the word lifestyle into the skeleton argument. They quickly realized that they couldn't say that anymore, because it's not a lifestyle, it's not a choice. This is who we are. Yeah? I mean, I don't choose to be black. I don't choose to be gay. I don't choose to have a hearing disability. This is who I am as a human being. Now, here are a few photographs of the family album, and I'm just going to go clearly over time. No way. Oh my goodness. Okay, so quickly go to the photographs. Do these photographs prove that I'm gay? You know, there's my husband and I in Soho in 2011. These are our two little mini dachshunds. On the left is Nomos, named after a politics periodical in the Hartley Library. Yeah. On the right is Veritas, Latin. Sorry, Nomos means Greek for convention or rules or law, and Veritas means truth. Yeah. So there they are in our apartment in King's Cross. Aren't they adorable? That's us in the apartment again. That's us at Gay Pride just before I'm going to Uganda. That's us at the Law Society with them, outside Supreme Court, in Ibiza, drinking exotically coloured cocktails, listening to Kylie Minogue, at our conversion where we upgrade from civil partnership to marriage, in Maui on our honeymoon, eating oysters, at Buckingham Palace, celebrating our 10-year wedding anniversary, picking up our Christmas tree, in outside Balance in Old Compton Street. Does that prove that I'm gay? Do those photographs prove that I'm gay? Oh, come on, you heartless lot. Seriously. I mean, I'm giving you a narrative. I'm showing you pictures. Why does that prove that I'm gay? But with straight entry clearance cases on marriage applications, that's what straight people do. Oh, this is our wedding. This is when we went to, on holiday. This is us at the bar mitzvah or the Christmas dinner. Yeah. Why is it there's suddenly a different test for gay people? I'm going to quickly go through this because up to 2009, what they used to do in the Czech and Slovak Republic is place apparatus around the penis or inside the vagina, put on pornography and test your sexual response to it to try and prove that you're gay. I kid you not, in the Czech and Slovak Republic, that's what they did. I'm sorry, but I may be sharing a bit with you about your fellow Southamptons, but if you put anything like that around my genitals, nothing would happen. Suddenly I'm asexual, yeah? But that's what they were doing to try and prove that. In the UK, they were even having videos and photographs taken of same-sex activities right up to 2013, not including your Dronco Parter, because gay people were having to prove that they were gay to the Home Office. And the Home Office was saying, no, you've said all this narrative, we don't believe you. So they were thrown into the culture of disbelief, what I call the cancer of disbelief, and actually producing video and photographic evidence of them having sex with people of the same sex to prove that they were gay. This is what the Home Office had driven people to do. I kid you not. How many people knew that? That's the reality. In 2014, October 2013, a bisexual Nigerian asylum seeker was asked at Portsmouth Hasler station, what attracts you about a man's backside? Did you wear a condom or did he wear a condom? Did you ejaculate in him or did he ejaculate in you? I kid you not. Those are the questions which were asked by Home Office interviewing officers to prove that people were LGB. Remember, it's not about having a questionnaire. What happened was, I was at a conference in Geneva in 2011. There was somebody from the UNHCR, somebody from an American organization saying, look, we need a questionnaire to prove that somebody is lesbian, gay, or bisexual. Now, I think you've got by now that I'm not one of these shy, retiring wallflower type of people. Yeah. So I said, over my dead body. There's no way that you could have a questionnaire to prove that somebody's lesbian or gay. So I had to think of a solution. This is my social impact bit. How can we try and help lesbian, gay, bisexual people prove that they're LGBT without it being an undignified, horrible, horrific experience? Now, I'm going to go through this because a lot of lesbian gay people, we don't realize we're lesbian, gay, or bisexual. Now, this is one of the very rare photographs. You see me in the brown jumper? Yeah, only 2 of these photographs exist where it's me away from the camera. I kid you not. This is the other one. This is me walking down the tour at the beginning of the London 2012 Olympic Games. Just thought I'd share that with you. Okay, engage. Okay, let's go forward. So this is my brother at his birthday. This is him now. He's a consultant neurosurgeon in the Netherlands. What's the difference between a neurosurgeon and God? God doesn't think he's a neurosurgeon. Sums up my brother perfectly. So that's back at his 7th birthday in January 1981. Can you see the birthday cake? Yeah, it's like a football field. Yeah, because he's a little boy. Boys with football fields. You can see it's the 80s. It's Burgess Hill. You have the Iceland sausages and the Swiss rolls. Yeah. This is my 7th birthday, September 1981. Can you see the birthday cake there? Pale green with pink roses. Yeah, because I just wanted a birthday cake with roses. Yeah. Did I know I was gay? No. But I just wanted a birthday cake with pink roses on it. Yeah, because that's what I wanted. This is my brother's 9th birthday, September 1985. We're now in, January 1985. We're now in Worthing. Can you see the birthday cake? R2D2. Yeah, boy's boy. Yeah, my 9th birthday, my father saying, this is September 1983. My father said, for goodness sakes, Chelvan, you've invited so many girls to your birthday party. Go on, sit down. My brother used to run, another girl? Well, I'm just friends with girls. We used to play make daisy chains, talk about the boys, make hopscotch. Did I know I was gay? No. Yeah. As my father, you see him the tie there. That's what the families were like in Ceylon. He was the eldest of 9 children in Sri Lanka. This is the 1950s. This is my birthday cake. Roses and butterflies. Yeah, my 9th birthday. Now, the thing is, I didn't know I was gay. I didn't have any sort of sexual response or anything like that. But the point I did know is that I wasn't conformative. I didn't quite fit in. I wasn't like other boys. Yeah? And if you've asked lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans people, we realize not that we're LGBTI. We realize when we're children, not all of us, but quite a lot of us, we realize we're different. Yeah? And straight people don't go through that. Yeah? Okay, 1 minute. So we're going to rush through this. Okay, so creating a safe space. So I created a dish model. Yeah? So not about asking whether somebody's lesbian, gay, or bisexual, but when did you first realize you were different? Yeah? And you ask a lesbian, gay, and bisexual asylum seeker that, they can talk about that narrative from when they were children, even before sexual responses. So they're able to, and I talk about trigger questions, create that safe space where people can talk and we can listen. So because of the time limits, I'm going to go through this. So we talk about, from difference, you realize, look, what social scientists call group differentiated individuals, yeah? We realize that we're not the only people who are like us. And then we realize how society views us, and that's called stigma. So we talk about the individual experience of stigma. How, when we realize we're different, like those homosexuals or those Batmans or those sodomites, what society tells us, there's stigma, that they are wrong, that we are wrong, that Adam and Eve rather than Adam and Steve. Yeah, that narrative. From stigma comes shame. And we're not talking about psychiatric harm level shame. It's normal. We're human. If we're told who we are is wrong, we will feel shame. We will feel bad about ourselves. Yeah? Different stigma shame comes in the majority of narratives of LGBT people, the whole world. You ask your LGBTI friends, yeah? We've all experienced that. And what's the difference with a refugee? Harm. The harm which is directed towards us in the countries where we suffer persecution because of our very sexual or gender identity or expression. So I created this model in 2011, the DISH model, to try and enable individual asylum seekers to be able to tell their narratives, tell their stories in a detailed manner. It was being adopted by the UNHCR in 2012 in their international protection guidelines. It's now being used by various governments around the world, including Sweden, Finland, the Czech Republic, Germany, New Zealand. I don't get royalties. I didn't get copyright. Damn. Yeah? But it's because I believe in sharing. Yeah? And in 2015, following the independent chief inspector's report to the Home Office now used the DISH model in all their asylum claims. The European Asylum Support Office now not only uses the DISH model in relation to LGBT claims, but also in religion claims. Yeah? So it's now being used the whole world to be able to ensure that lesbian and gay bisexual asylum seekers get protection, focus on difference, not on identity. They're not straight enough, but most importantly, they're safe here in the UK, free to love. Oh, sorry, thank you, Carl. That's why I get yes. I said free to love, free to be human. Thank you.
This takes us to the part of the night's event where we're going to have a little conversation, but it's just some questions that we've pre-prepared for Chelvan that are a little bit testing, and then we'll hand over to you so that you can ask any questions that you so wish. So, firstly, if you could make any class at university a compulsory class for all students, what would that be?
Well, I'm going to be very naughty. I'm going to take out two classes because when I studied here, I did politics and law. So in law, I did a class called Legal Methods. Mm-hmm. And in that class, David Carson taught it, and he taught us about three principles: principle, policy, and practice. When you're looking at any project or organization, or even giving a speech, you concentrate on those three triggers: principle, policy, and practice. It will shape anything you do in relation to that project or that presentation. And then in political theory, Professor David Owen, who was then Dr. David Owen then, in political theory, he said two things. One, the citizen can either be active or passive. You have to choose whether you want to be an active citizen or a passive citizen. That's political theory in my first year. And I really sort of galvanized on that and thought, I really want to be that active citizen who changed the world. And I remember when he taught, I think it was Hobbes and Locke, my whole concept of why do we have law? We only have law because we're in that forest, that primeval forest in the Hobbes reality, where we only have law because we bump into each other. And when we bump into each other, we have to relate in social interaction. So yeah, I'm going to teach sort of the hybrid between political theory and legal methods.
I'll let you off.
Okay.
So, second question is following on a little bit from that. What has been the role of your University of Southampton experience in your personal and professional development?
Yeah, these are for the memoirs, okay? Okay. No, I believe there's three A's. It provided me a thirst for knowledge, mm-hmm. Which is very important in any of your lives, especially if you want to have social global impact and national global impact. So the academic, the mm-hmm. thirst for knowledge. The activist. I actually went to the student union before I came here, and it was really strange. I haven't been in that building for 20 years, even though I come back to Southampton to speak at the law school. And being in what is now called the Cube, yeah, I can tell you there were some really interesting, in those days, and I hope you reactivate, really interesting sort of union meetings. There would be hundreds of people where I did things like, banning the armed forces from the careers fair, or We were talking about student accommodation fees and stuff like that. So it really sort of instilled the activist in me. And then, of course, the advocate. You know, the fact that I'm here as a representative role. As a barrister, I'm here to be the mouthpiece, but reminding myself that every single one of my clients knows what the words are, what the story is. All I do is interpret their story into the law. So it's academic, advocate, and activist.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. So our next question, a lot of the time we focus on successes and achievements and what we're doing, and we don't tend to reflect on maybe things that haven't gone so well. So our question to you is there any moments of adversity or failure in your life that looking back you are now really grateful for?
How long have we got? 31st of May 1996, I'm in Worthing. My mother says, "Chelvan, are you gay?" What happened was, and it sort of leads to the answer to the next question, but I won't preempt that as well, is that when I came to Southampton, I wasn't out. I knew I was different, and I was having relationships with men from my teenage years, but I wasn't out. And I remember being in the concourse, going outside the bar before going into the Pink Sock social event in my first term, and that was a huge thing for me. But I wasn't out to my straight friends. And then when I did start coming out to my straight friends, and they didn't sort of, you know, cast me aside, and they were like interested about hearing about the boyfriends or whatever, gave me that support network. You come to a stage where you can't carry on lying, yeah, because you want to be free, you want to be human. So I told my mother that I was gay, and the following day she gave me an ultimatum. She said, either I stop having sex for 5 years and they can get me married off to some sort of girl. All my friends used to laugh, saying 5 years, not 5 minutes, let alone 5 years. Or I had to leave the home. So I was kicked out of home 1 week before my first year exams. And my stuff was sent to Montefiore Halls in 18 dustbin bags and 19 cardboard boxes. And I remember being in that car with my friends Steve and Diane, opening a letter from my mother's solicitor saying that until I recanted my behaviour and practices, I was disowned and disinherited. So I had nothing. But the university, I'm a Morphin, so there are two types of families. We have our biological family and our logical family. And Southampton became my logical family, and that's why I had this huge pull to this university. Because I remember that summer going to the Safeway in Eastleigh and not having enough money to buy a loaf of bread, because I didn't have the money. I'd been completely cast out. But Southampton made sure that I had the support. And Caroline Thomas, who was my personal tutor in politics, every time I got very morose and upset about things, she said, look, she didn't allow me to dwell on my own personal narrative of what I wanted for me. She kept on pushing me, saying, you've got so much more to give. You know, I couldn't or take time to wallow in my self-pity. She said, you've got to go out there and change the world. And Southampton was very supportive. It, you know, it enabled me to get a scholarship from the Inner Temple to go to bar school. My academic tutors, Natalie Lee and Paul Meredith, wrote the references, which enabled me to get a Kennedy Memorial Trust scholarship. So I went to Harvard Law School to do international human rights and lesbian gay liberation movement. And you know, even when I won the Legal Aid Barrister of the Year in 2014, both Natalie and Paul came to the awards ceremony. So you know, you can draw on what is your logical family here in Southampton, not for just the time you're here, and instill the values which you will grow with, but for the rest of your life. So I very much, but so yes, did I regret at the time saying to my mother that I was gay? Because I had in my own mind instilled this program that I'll come out once I'd graduated and got a good job. But because of the support I had in Southampton, I got to that stage where I couldn't lie anymore, but I lost everything. You know, I had to basically have that self-motivation and that support group from people around me to go into the world and, you know, live my dream. So I also believe that each decade has a phrase. The 20s were about making mistakes, my 30s were about consolidation, and my 40s about you know, grabbing every opportunity. Mm-hmm. And you know, I now look back on it saying, well, that was the darkest moment of my life, and that was standing in that Safeways in Eastleigh, not having enough money to buy a loaf of bread. But I've now come back on it and say, well, look, I had to do that. I had to go through that journey, and that's why I can represent my client. Because when your family rejects you for who you are, you don't care what anybody else says. I know we're being recorded, that's why I didn't swear. But you really don't. But what I can draw upon, and I was saying to you, Charlie, that I'm meeting quite a lot of my Southampton friends next weekend. Two of our friends got met here in Southampton. They're now married. They're celebrating their 20th anniversary, and they're my logical family. They're a nightmare because they tell me off. I'm not allowed to ever go into politics. My husband and my best friend Norm never allow me to go into politics. They always remonstrate me, but they're my family.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you. Our final question for you until we hand over to the floor is, what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self? Okay, well, this links with what you said before. 20 years old was September 1994. Now, in February 1995, I was in the Cube, which was the debate chamber, and my friend Penny, who was rag sabbatical, and it was a day of debates because the debating union then was very active, and I just had a bucket full of ice cubes thrown over me, and I'd had a few drinks because it was the day of debates, and I turned around to my friend Penny and I said, it's really difficult being a black gay man, and that was the first time I'd come out to a straight friend of mine, and I can tell my 20-year-old self that within that year I would have come out to my family being kicked out, and what I'd want to tell my 20-year-old self, because this is the man I am now, is that you will love and you will be loved. And I think that's the most important. I am confident in my skin because I have a husband who I will go home tonight to, who I will lie in bed with and I will hold to my chest. And I know that I will give my life for him and he will give his life for me. And that is priceless. So I would want to tell my 20-year-old self, you will love and you will be loved. Thank you very much. Okay, so over to you. Hopefully you enjoyed our questions and hopefully you've got some even juicier ones. There is
still before the water show.
True. We are still being recorded. Pathik has a microphone, so if you have got a question, please just raise your hand and wait for the microphone to get to you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Corinne.
Hi, Corinne.
What still needs to be done for LGBT asylum seekers?
Oh, gosh. One, legal aid. In 2013, there's something called the LASPO Act, which took immigration out of scope of legal aid, where asylum claims now still get legal aid, but 90%, so a 10% reduction, is that the biggest killer to representation of asylum seekers is lack of legal aid, because there are not enough legal aid lawyers out there to represent them. You can go to the tribunals around the country, and a lot of asylum seekers are going to these cases without even a lawyer. They're here to claim asylum, to be safe. So, there's a STAR organisation here, yes, Action for Refugees organisation here in Southampton. Yeah, join that, lobby, go to the detention centres and speak to asylum seekers. It's very isolating when you're detained. Only 2 weeks ago did the Court of Appeal actually have a landmark judgment saying that indefinite detention is unlawful, drawing on Article 1 of the Universal Declaration. Yeah? So, you need to be able to create that safe space for not only LGBT plus asylum seekers, but any asylum seeker, because what they're here to do is to gain safety. That's what a refugee is, to be somewhere where you have refuge.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi. I've got a bit of a hearing problem, so I need
I have a question. That's what's the idea of a gay pretend he's straight and get married with a girl?
Sorry, I apologise for my hearing.
The thing is that some gays, they pretend they are straight and got married with girls.
Yeah. Okay. Now, as I said, it's very difficult to pretend that you're gay when you're asked a question, just like Patrick was. When did you first realise you were straight? Yeah. Because a straight man, and I'm talking about men usually, they've never had to question about their identities. Yeah. Women have to all the time because of the patriarchal society we're in. Yeah. So I have never, in 16 years of practice, encountered somebody who is lying about their sexual identity. And the fact that until 2010, the Home Office had no problem about accepting, in 90% of cases, the narrative that somebody's lesbian, gay, or bisexual. Yeah, and in a lot of these countries, these communities, such as Jamaica or Nigeria, even pretending that you're gay would result in risk. Because sometimes the information goes back home, or even Pakistan. You know, when I started this, it was about another gay Jamaican. Yeah, sorry, another gay Jamaican. Yeah. Now they talk about another gay Pakistani. Yeah. But a lot of these people would never even pretend to be gay because the ramifications of even pretense would lead to risk. So when they talk about false claims, show me the figures. Where are they? I think the gentleman will
Hi. It's a pretty terrifying time if you read the news and are LGBT plus at the moment. It seems that everything's getting a bit more negative and a bit more conservative with regard to the views of the general public, and a lot of tabloid news seems to be jumping certainly on gender issues at the moment, and are interestingly using arguments around safe spaces for women and people pretending to identify as one thing or another. So I guess my question is, from your viewpoint, legally and with your kind of look over the world stage, would you say to fellow LGBT plus people that the world is still getting better, or is it a scarier place than it was 5 years ago, and are things actually getting worse?
Well, okay. Well, let's do a little journey across the RFC. Yeah, no hard border yet. Yeah, to Ireland. 2015, gender recognition change in Ireland. They allowed self-identification. Did the world suddenly collapse? Were there lots of men pretending to be women in Ireland, in the prisons or in changing rooms? No. What we have at the moment is a small vocal minority, and they label themselves radical feminists. I don't believe that they are real feminists, yeah, who are going around just owning the debate, yeah. And I have a huge problem about that, because I have a problem with other human beings labeling other human beings. Yeah? A lot of my trans, non-binary friends, they don't wake up one day and saying we're trans. Yeah, it's quite a journey, as all of our lives are. But to have to deal with that prejudice, that harm, that ostracism, that marginalisation, we've got to get rid of that. You know, we've all got to stand up and saying, what you're saying is wrong. You know? Because women's refugees have been refugees for trans women for decades, and they've never had a problem. Yeah? So when they say, oh, it's going to be trouble for women refugees, speak to the refugees. They have been safe spaces for trans women with cis women and non-binary women for decades and never had a problem. So, you know, you always get one or two isolated instances, and there are mechanisms and procedures in place. But I think this is a wider debate which they're hijacking, because it's all about, you know, their own political ideology, and we don't have enough time to go into that tonight. But I do believe that the best evidence in relation to gender recognition and self-identification is across the RFC. They didn't have the collapse of the whole system in relation to that. So I do believe that the world is getting a better place in the global north, but what we're having is a kickback in relation to the global south. For example, Nigeria in January 2014, you even got 10 years imprisonment for joining a gay association. Yeah? So things are getting worse in other countries, but it's important not to be neo-colonial. You know, the white saviour mentality is no longer relevant or acceptable. You know, I have a problem going to events where you have the white cis gay man who's saying, we're helping the Commonwealth. No, you're not. Because by having the message come from you yourself is showing that you're not engaging. Because what we need when we're engaging with countries in the Global South is that the voices of the Global South have got to be at the forefront. Yeah? Don't impose neo-colonial northern values, global north values on the Global South, and listen to the activists and ask the activists what they want, or the grassroots organisations. You know? So it's very important to do that. So I have a huge problem with the white saviour, black victim mentality, and that's why I do the international work I do, because when I go into the room, I'm usually the only BMing person in the room, in the expert panel. You know, they'll have the black person as a refugee or the asylum seeker. Well, I'm sorry, but it's 2018. But we can speak for ourselves. That's very important. So, yeah, things are getting better. If it wasn't getting better, I wouldn't be doing the work I do.
We've got time for one last question. Yeah.
Hi, what can we do in our everyday lives to actually help? Like, what kind of things can we do generally, even if we aren't in a field in which we can help?
Live your dream. Yeah, because the energy, it gets shared, doesn't it? If you're happy about who you are as a human being, it sort of has a ripple effect on other people around you. And if you want to affect social change, do it. Yeah? There are the opportunities out there for you to change the world. Yeah? I was speaking to Professor earlier. The great thing about Southampton and legal education in the UK is that it's very formulaic. A plus B equals C. Yeah? When I was at Harvard, I was told, well, you want to get to the letter E, do you know what you need to do? Invent the formula. Yeah? That's what all of us need to do. We know where we want to go to, well then let's be in charge of determining what the formula to the end point is. Yeah? You may not succeed in the first attempt, but don't stop trying, because you will achieve the end point.